Okay, I'm recording it now. I glanced at Catherine's there, and I was like, I got to record this. Oh, and Greg Sieb is coming in now too. So actually, this is good. I'm just going to hold tight until Greg gets buckled in.
Okay, I'm here.
You're here? Okay, Greg. All right. Okay, so we got pretty much everyone except for the other Greg, this is being recorded for, and Lewis, who it's being recorded for as well. So I first just want to walk through the agenda as I wrote it and get feedback from you all. None of this is set in stone, okay? So everybody's going to get a panelist link. Don't share the panelist link with anyone. That's just for you. You can log in to the green room between 11:30 and 11:40. And the purpose of that is for us to check everybody's mics and cameras. If anybody's going to be sharing, if any of us will share PowerPoints, that's where we can check that as well. Around 11:50 to 11:53, we'll all turn off our mics and cameras. And then I put up on the screen this 5-minute countdown timer. You guys have probably seen it if you've been on my calls. And then at noon, I'll come on and I'll welcome people to the discussion and just go over some housekeeping on how we use Zoom and all that type of stuff. And then what I thought is that at that point, I would welcome Lori and Lewis, who are both members of the Villages of Kensington, Lewis being a member of the Villages of Kensington and Homes Renewed. And we'll just first just have a get to know you for Lewis and Lori. So that's just going to be a brief get to know you. Hey, Lori, you're a Kensington homeowner and member and we're going to be using your home today for our discussion, but just tell us a little bit about yourself. So, you go through that. I'll do the same for Lewis. The more brief we can be, the better, and we'll load in everything at the end if we have extra time. So with Lewis, he'll do his introduction, and then I'll just ask him, hey, Lewis, what is Homes Renewed? And Lewis will give me, yep.
Okay, put renewed back together with homes because there's no space between those two.
Oh,
Homes
yeah,
renewed.
this is just, this
Okay.
isn't going to be distributed to anyone, but I will do that.
Okay. Okay.
So then he can talk about that. So then it's going to be, all right, audience, we're really excited to bring on our panel and a brief description of what we're going to do today, which I'm not going to attempt to describe because I don't want that to alter our conversation here. But then all the panel members will pop onto the screen. So you guys can turn on your mics and cameras. And then what we'll do is we'll just go around the little Brady Bunch thing there. And it's sort of in no particular order, but right the way that I've got it on the screen now is it'd be like our first panel member, Greg Sieb with Live in Place. Greg, tell us a little bit about yourself. Ali, tell us a little bit about yourself. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself. Greg, tell us a little about yourself. Okay. Now we know everybody on the panel, and now the real program is going to begin. And that is the concept that we've been talking about is where we're going to dive into Lori's house. We're going to have a discussion about remodeling to make safe and accessible homes, but we're going to use the real life example of Lori's house. So so what I thought we would do is talk about the best way for us to do that, okay? So as I shared with you, I went to Lori's house and shot some video. Today, Ali went and shot these beautiful photos. Here's an entryway. This is the front entryway. This is the garage and the garage entryway. Then he shot a bunch of photos of the stairs. We've got some kitchen shots. We've got the laundry room. And I've got to load the bathrooms on, but I've got shots of the bathrooms too.
I have a question,
Sure.
Steve. The videos, I went back and looked at these, so I'm a little confused. The video that when you were talking, you guys were talking at Lori's house, and there was a house there, and you were in the driveway, Lori, and then these pictures from Ollie don't show the same house.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Explain that, Lori.
Okay, we were in the process of remodeling our master bathroom when Steve came, and so I wasn't sure that.
Oh,
it
no,
would
no. He's
finish.
talking about your neighbor's house.
Right, exactly. And so Steve and I went over to the neighbor's house because I have access to it, and I got permission from the son. So we went ahead and filmed the next door neighbor's house's bathroom, master bathroom and bedroom, and some of the kitchen there as well. But this is my bathroom. These two bathrooms are mine. But there is a picture that Steve took of the next door neighbor's bathroom in case this bathroom, the one on the left here, the blue one, wasn't finished by the time we did this. It was in case.
And I got shots from the neighbors too, but I didn't include to not confuse anybody. But I have some shots.
I
So-
almost feel like it's best for us to, I feel like if we did both houses, it would be a little bit confusing. And I actually feel like, maybe part 2 of this could be the next door neighbor's house.
Could do that too. I mean, the son has given me the okay to go ahead. So, there's nobody living there, so we can go there anytime. It's no problem.
I mean,
It makes no difference to me, of course, but my point was that there are different issues with each of the houses. I'm talking about the front entrance, not the bathrooms. I'm
Right,
talking about there are different steps. It's a whole different set of rules for each of these houses. So, that's your house there.
right.
Right, got it. And that's what I
No.
figured I figured you must have been just down the street, but I just wanted to
Next
make.
door, actually, literally next door.
Yeah. Right.
So
Got
one of the, Steve brings an interesting point up. There's a lot of ways that we could skin the cat here. One would be just focusing on Lori's house. Okay. Another might be like, as Steve had just mentioned, it's sort of like, hey, today we've got 2 homes and we're going to focus on the entryways and the kitchens, but I want to leave this up to you guys. I guess my main goal here, let me kind of share with you guys what my main goal is, that I'm looking at this as an experiment, it's the concept of an actual homeowner, an actual house, and a panel of professionals in this field all sharing their ideas about what they're seeing and different solutions that could be made to improve these homes.
Right. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think, a case study is great. And since we have both, as you suggest, we could expand into other things, maybe at other times or whatever. I think we want to keep it simple, like, and do your vision first. But I think, you could just go, every house up and down that street, and across the street, there's a big hill, and on this side, there's no hill, and things like that. There are a lot of different issues, or a different set of solutions for how to make a home accessible or easier to get to, or however,
Mm-hmm.
it's steps, you can put a railing up, but if there's no so anyway, but yeah, I'm down with all that, Steve.
And what I like about having Lori on the call is that it's, so often when we do our universal design, we've all done them, talking about remodeling and what have you, you don't have the actual homeowner there to sort of react to these comments and, hey, that's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. I'll talk to my husband about it. Or, would that decrease the value of my home? Or, like stuff like that. I think that's the added dynamic that we're going to have with this.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I can speak to that. Just this morning when Ali came by, we were going to be adding some grab bars as the last thing for the newly renovated bathroom. And Ali made some very, very helpful comments. And so we're going to hold off on what we were going to do, and we're going to do something that he's recommended. So
Good job, Ali.
so yes.
And
Absolutely.
actually, you know what? That is, I hope that conversation is a perfect, authentic conversation that could happen next Friday. Is
And
that
I'll hold off and have
yeah,
it if you
I
want.
mean,
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
perfect in that, when we get here, it's sort of like what I could see is that, okay, we're going to look at the bathroom, and Ali, you actually swung by, Lori's house last Friday to take these photos, and she was commenting about grab bars. What's the suggestion that you made? And then, but I also sort of see this as, like, I don't know if you guys have been involved with, have seen any of the care manager discussions that we've been hosting. What's been interesting with it is that you get these 2 or 3 care managers on, and they start sort of bantering back and forth, and they're all sort of like, wow, that's a good idea. I really like that approach, and that's the dynamic that I think that we can create here too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, okay. So my general thought though is
Hello?
that
Hello?
we're gonna, as you
Hello?
can see here in the in my sort of draft agenda, I sort of see us doing 3 sort of areas of discussion. Like it could be, well, I really think the entryway is a great one, because Lori's entryway is just so amazingly accessible. So can we agree that entryway is going to be one area of discussion? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
that's why my pictures, if you look at it, focus mostly, because when I do my assessment for anybody's home, I started from entry, because you want to get into the house and get out of the house first. And then
Yep.
the bathroom and the kitchen and the other areas of the house come second or third priority. So that's why I took picture of different entries of the house. So one in the front, so her slope is not as bad as the neighbors, but still it's very steep to put any ramp there. So it's going to be, the ramp has to go around. So if they can get into through the garage, so it would be a much better solution. But then it needs putting maybe multiple stair lifts or anything on that point. So I think, to your point, Steve, it's the best that we start from entry. Most of our focus needs to be on the entry. So either we can discuss the front door, and also we can discuss the options for the garage door. So as everybody agrees that each house has different slopes and different kind of entryways.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is the that's good that we have a video as well, so it will show how easy or hard to get to the front door.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like actually, what might be sort of a way to do this. So let's just sort of like attack. Is everybody cool with us starting with the front entryway?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So a great way we could play that video. It's super quick. And then on the screen, we can have these entryway shots, and then we can just go around the panel and everybody sort of shares their thoughts and suggestions, and then kind of have a discussion around entryways in general. And then this is going to bring, I know it's going to bring audience questions into the fold. And so then we can respond to the audience questions. And I think that's great. And if it goes on too long, I can put a pin in it and say, look, guys, let's go to, we want to make sure that we at least address one more part of Lori's home. We can always come back to the entryway, but now let's move to the bathroom. And I like the idea of, and Ollie, you sort of referenced it, entryway bathroom, but I really like the bathroom because we have this story of Lori telling you how she was going to have her grab bars installed and you sort of having a discussion with her. And who knows, by the end of our conversation on Friday, the grab bars could be an entirely different position. Okay. But that's neither here nor there. And so, and then let's see, I've got, I do have a video of the lower level bathroom.
Steve,
And- yeah,
question before we move on. So, you know, the key is you got lots of people here who can talk a lot. We all can. So, you know, I think we need to establish how much time we want to have each for the answer so that you can move it along and leave plenty of time for the question and answer and follow-up stuff. The other thing is there an option that we're going to have in order to, while we're speaking, each of us individually to throw up a couple pictures or a PowerPoint or something?
oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so Greg, you addressed a couple of things, okay? And I'm glad you did. It's like, number one, I couldn't ask for a better group of people to be involved in this discussion. And I'm glad that you're all involved, especially because this is the first time we're doing it. I think we probably all agree that if this works, I'm going to do these things every single month, you know, for the rest of my life. And and I think that probably teaming up in groups of two is probably going to be more efficient in terms of giving people more time to talk and being able to kind of like dive into things. And so we'll figure that out as we go. But I do think that this first time with, you know, with me who doesn't shut up, with Lewis, and then 4 panel members, and we all want to get our stuff out there. I think we all just need to try to sort of speak in sound bites and remember that less is more. And the awesome thing about this is that if we throw something out that sort of resonates with the audience, they're going to contact us individually or as a group to dive into it more deeply. You know, I think our goal is just to sort of plant the seeds in people's minds that just how creative they can get. And the fact that they don't have to walk this road alone, that there are a lot of resources out there for them.
So along that line is, I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. I carry an iPad and I use pictures as I walk through homes. So for instance, when we hit entrances, what I would do would be to throw up a couple of pictures and say, here's 2 ways I would approach this entrance, depending on your short or long-term goals. And I don't have to describe as much because the pictures tell the story.
Yeah.
You know,
As
so
long as
60 seconds to 2 minutes, I've completed my entrance.
Yeah,
time.
I love that idea as long as the panel members are
Sure.
are up for that. And honestly, if all panel members did that, if they sort of said, you know, hey Steve, I saw the video of Lori's entry last week and I picked a couple of examples of designs that might be helpful. That's fine by me. How does the panel feel?
I'm okay with that.
I don't know. I might not have time to put all that together.
No, I think
Just a couple pictures.
as an option,
Or talk.
I
no,
think if somebody wants to, they can do it.
yeah, that's my main thing is
Keep
that
it simple.
I don't want anybody, I don't want anybody on the panel to sort of think that they have to do it, but I also don't want anybody on the panel to be sort of like, well, geez, Greg shared photos and I didn't, you know, and I think it's important that, you know, I think what this is also going to do is this is going to create more business. If we can start promoting safe and accessible homes as a group, I think it's going to be more business for everybody, you know.
Yeah, I have no trouble with that. I don't mind, you know, like looking at, you know, whatever, like say Greg puts up a picture of a front entrance solution. I would corroborate it or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, that's a good idea. Look at that, and you put lighting along there or whatever it is. And so, yeah, that's a good idea and stuff like that. Because what we're going to run into is like we have like the same dynamic with a single house. We have a specific set of situation, and that's all good. And that's that. Then we can have it. We say with the owner there, Lori there, to respond to, you know, well, this is what happened. This is why. And then, you know, Ali said about the grab bars and so forth. All that's, but everybody who's looking at it is going to apply their own house to that, you know. So, well, you know, I don't have any steps at my house, or I have like, I'm a whole story below the street or above the street. And so that's going to be a whole new set of issues. And so we can apply those or we can address those. But I like, that's when you get into, well, how much are we going to talk about this? Like Greg says, and we could talk forever, you know, we know too much about this stuff, but,
Oh, no.
and
And that's where, what I hope happens is we like, if I had to sort of wave the magic wand, the way that I see this kind of playing out is that we start with the entryways, we play the video, we throw up the photos, then we go around the horn and all 4 panel members share a few insights on their thoughts on Lori's entryway. And then questions start coming in from the audience, sort of asking for clarification, and we go through some of those. And then we basically close the door temporarily on entryways and we move to the bathroom. And then we do the same thing. And then we'll kind of see where the timing is. And if we go to a third location, you know, we could do, we could share the stairways that are in Lori's house, or we could look at the kitchen. I think probably stairways from a point of discussion is making, like, if we were able to do this discussion and do entryway, bathroom, and stairways, holy cow, just imagine the doors that we are opening up in terms of the dialogue.
yeah, and I really think opening it up to the questions is going to be a good way to approach it from that point of view, and instead of us, just like Greg said, just us talking, you know, because when I do my talks, I survey the room and I say, well, who's got, you know, who wants to talk about thus and so, and who's got that, and what do you need to know about stair lifts or something? And then there might be somebody, well, I'm considering doing that, but I don't even know anything about them. So then the discussion goes to that because it makes sense to the group as a collectively, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that's where the discussion will go.
And one of the things is that on these discussions that I've been hosting for the last year, there's never a shortage of questions. Like even on some very mundane topics, I feel like this is going to really be fuel for some great dialogue, and it's going to, you know, we don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm really excited to after we do it, to do a recap with everybody and then figure out, okay, what do we do for our second act? You know, we may be able to pull this off with a large panel, like you know, or it may be like, hey, let's see how it works with 2 panel members, and then we'll kind of, you know, do it that way.
Mm. Plus, you're referencing
Steve-
the home fit guide, and that's a whole, they've got a lot of light, light duty stuff, just sort of getting around and passive solutions and stuff. And then there's the hard one, there's some, and lighting. And then there's the harder ones like the entrances and sometimes the bathrooms.
Yeah,
And
I
Steve,
have
I think at Lori's home, if you want to address the entryways, we may have to tie the stair lift to it if we want to get through the garage to the house. So that may have
Somebody-
a stair lift tied to it.
Being somebody who's been to Lori's house and is moderately disabled, ambulatory, but barely. I would tell you, driving past the front of her house, the first time I went there, I just drove right on by. I said, no, Lori, there's just not a snowball's chance in hell I can get into your house. None whatsoever. She said, well, come in through the garage. And so I shimmy, Cocoa Bob through the garage, immediately was rented with a step and then another set of steps with a marginal handrail, hauled my fat ass up there and hope to hell I could get out again. It is particularly inaccessible. And I didn't try to go to the bathroom there. I go before I leave the house and hope for the best, okay?
well, and that is it's the livable home and the visitable home,
Yeah.
so,
Well, Tammy brings up a good point that, are we going to address the front entrance as just aging in place? Or are we going to be addressing someone that has just come out of rehab with a mobility issue now? I mean,
Short-term, long-term. Short-term, long-term.
we
But
can
again,
spend the
it's-
whole Zoom meeting next Friday on the front entrance.
oh, yeah,
That's why I suggested we need to be setting a time limit of, seriously, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. That's all a reasonable answer in a group like this matters.
So
Anything
what,
beyond that, gets to be too long.
so why don't we go over that right now? What are we going to address with the front entrance? Are we going to do ramps? Are we going to do iron rail? That
Well,
would be probably a good,
yeah, what I would
I
put
think we're
up is
gonna
one
we're
of the
gonna address it in
universal
a
law.
different.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would talk in 2 minutes. I'll show, one would be returning home from rehab or other, which is short-term, is, potentially, wheelchair ramp or modular ramp. And then long-term, if it's aging in place, staying in, and a universal walkway.
Okay.
But, it's short-term, long-term, and that's
And also
okay.
it
We
depends
don't
on
know
the
what
person's
people are
disability. And it also depends on the person's disability, how much mobility they have. And as Greg says, or Steve says, it's like if they have a long-term disability or short-term disability. So I think what I'm going to talk in that 2 minutes that I'm going to have, so I'm going to talk about different options. Then, if you are wheelchair bound, you have a different option. If you're walking with cane, you have a different option. If you're not a wheelchair bound, but you prefer ride a wheelchair, again, we will do approach it differently. So I think it's better to talk about all the options, since we have about an hour or an hour and a half to talk about an entry. And so we can address, so depends on the people situation. I think it's better to design it.
I agree. I think presenting people with an array of options rather than boxing anybody in, I think sounds like a much better way to do it. In other words, rather than sort of superimposing the most restrictive or whatever, sort of.
yeah, but,
situation.
let's just try to keep it like this, is that let's everybody, with the 3 areas that we're going to discuss, and the first 2 being entryway, then to the bathroom, then to the stairs. And if everybody can try to put together their thoughts in as close to 2 minutes as possible, but knowing that if everybody went over a little bit and it was 3 or 4 minutes, we're not going to be screwed, But if we try to make our, and this is gonna, all of us are gonna be biting our tongues because we all know we can talk for a half hour on this entryway, okay? But it's sort of like, just my initial observation of Lori's entryway is that, you know, hey, number one, I want to compliment her. Her entryway is covered, okay? Because a covered entryway is, you know, a good concept. However, you know, here's what a stainless steel ramp might look like if she was coming home from the hospital, and this is if we graded up her front door, her front lawn, and we made a meandering path to the front thing. And then, you know, and then of course, talking about keeping all of this the same and doing the entryway in the garage, you know, with something else there, like a stair glide or something like that. But yep.
One question I have, and this actually ties into something Ali said a little earlier. Excuse me. I'm wondering whether entranceways and stairways are not more logically tied than entrances and bathrooms.
So you guys want to do
Yes.
entryway, stairs, and then bathroom?
Yeah,
Mhm.
they are in my
Okay.
That's a
mind,
better option.
because
think
when
they're
you come
just-
into your house, Lori, if you come into the basement, you're immediately presented with a set of stairs to get to the living floor.
Right,
And those
I-
stairs are not user friendly.
I know.
They
I know, but I
turn and
just
they're
think they're-
carpeted and oh my God, don't get
I
me
know.
started.
I just think they're kind of logically connected. If there are any mobility issues, I think the two are tied. But I may be
Well,
wrong.
okay, so how about this? Actually, this is a good segue.
Would you guys agree? I mean,
discussion-
I'm not in this field, so I don't
No,
know.
no,
but I'm
well,
just
but
asking.
what, you know, you're very much, I like the idea of discussion topic one is the front entryway.
Mhm.
Discussion topic two is the garage entryway and the stairs combined. So that we can show the garage entry and then show the staircases, and then we can comment on both, you know, sort of collective, because somebody coming in the garage entryway is battling the stairs in your house no matter what.
Right, and I mean, I think that, excuse me, getting into a house is one thing, but then once you've gotten in, if you've got as many mobility issues once you're in as you had getting in, then, you know, getting into the house isn't really, you haven't accomplished anything, if you see what I'm saying. If you've got as much of a barrier once you're in, you see what I'm saying? Because you've got 4 sets of stairs once you're in this house.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think the barrier issue exists at a pretty high level in this house because of the number of stairs.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's just my perception. Maybe I'm wrong and you guys.
No,
are-
I totally,
Okay, but
Yeah.
you know, Ali, do you not agree? I mean, am I wrong about this?
I do, because even if you get from the front entry, because I have advantage to be there, and Steve, same thing, not other panelists haven't been there. But even if you get to the, you manage to get to the front door, still, if you want to get to some bathroom or anything, you have to climb the stairs. And you just get to the living room and the kitchen by getting through the front door. So again, I think we need to talk about entryways and entry doors, and also stair lift, and
Right.
then we can go to the bathroom.
Right, that, yeah. I think that makes more sense to me.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Yeah, and so let's just, as a group, because we've got such a large panel, if everybody can try to keep their statements to 2 minutes or less, no matter what, like, let's say we get a good get a good attendee question, and it's sort of like, hey, I'd like to make a comment on that. It's just like, just glance at the clock on your computer, and it's sort of like, here, let me tell you my thoughts on that, this, that, and the other. And you see that it's 3:42 right now. and you just sort of make a mental note. It's like, oh, wow, it's 3:44. Hey, I've got a bunch of thoughts, but let somebody else share. You know, I think if we speak in 2-minute sound bites, I think that this will flow really nicely.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
So another question for a point of order. Since you have a panel, do you want to establish your order, and then when the follow-up questions come later, you just, again, start with the first person, and, you know, if I'm done, I'll say, Steve, you know, go to Steve. I mean, you know, so we're not wasting a lot of time in there. And, you
Great.
know, if someone wants to pass, you just say pass, you know, Ali, you know, and then on to Ali. I mean, and just keep it moving, because that's really what people came for.
Well,
You know,
let's,
And are we gonna have any, we're gonna have just regular people, or are we gonna have some professionals on it too?
it'll be professionals and consumers. I'd probably say that the bulk is going to be professionals, but what I've seen lately is the consumers are the ones that really ask the questions. So even though I have 100 people in an event, you know, you get these 5 consumers that really are asking the great questions, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, from a order point of view, you know, we could go alphabetical. You know, I mean, I don't know if there's any. I like that. I think it would keep us on track so that it's kind of like, you know, everybody introduces themselves, then we have a question, and then all the panel members can always like, wow, you know, I think everything has been covered on this topic. Steve, you want to take it back? You know,
Right.
So let's see, we can go. What do you guys have any preference of the order?
I think, Steve, you were good on managing this. You've done, you know, several times this. I don't think if anybody, as you mentioned, they have a stopwatch or whatever, that to keep their 2 minutes, or, you know, maximum, let's say 2.5, if you want to, you know, put some grace period for it. I think 2 to 2.5 minutes, and then you can stop them or go to the next person, or we can raise our hands or whatever, then we can you know, open up the microphone to us.
And also what I'm going to do at the beginning of the event, I'm going to say to the audience, look, guys, this is one of the larger panels that we've ever had, but there's a reason for it, because we want you to see and hear a lot of different perspectives on this very confusing topic. And we have a lot to say, but we're going to try to keep our comments as succinct as possible. And so if you see me jumping in, I'm not being rude. It's just to sort of keep the ball rolling and knowing that we can kind of get things back on track.
Right.
Good.
Okay, so I think we're good. I think I'll send an email out that summarizes what we've talked about. I'll share a copy of the recording of this discussion for Lewis and Greg to watch. And then this is going to be fine, guys. Honest to God, and I mean this in all sincerity, I could invite everybody to a discussion like this and show you these photos, and you've never seen them before. And I think it would be one of the most compelling discussions that we've ever had. But the fact that you're going to have the opportunity to see the photos and the videos and prepare a little bit, I think it's going to be really good. And I'm excited at the unknown to see the questions that come up, the dialogue between us all when we start talking about these various aspects of Lori's home. And I think this is going to be the first of many great discussions. And as we had discussed earlier, we're going to all be signing our HGTV contracts in a couple of years.
Right, that's great. Hey, Steve, I got a question about, oh, Lord, that's funny. What about, what's our experience? Is our experience going to be different? I mean, as the panel, are we going to be in, like, you're talking about a green room and stuff? For us, from here, is it going to feel, I mean, I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, so we're using for the program, it's Zoom webinar. So actually our screen is going to look very similar to this. Only us, our group is going to be visible. And then over on the right hand of my screen, at least, if you click on the participants link, what you'll end up seeing is two tabs, panelists and participants. And you'll see the names of everybody who's in the audience, but you won't see their pictures or anything like that. Now they can type in questions, which we'll all see. Oh, and I'm glad we were talking about this. So they can type in questions. We can all see those questions. If a question is very specific to you, like if they say something like, Greg, can you please share your phone number in the question box? Like, Greg, you can type in your phone number and answer that, all right? But if they're sort of if they put in a question there that is sort of like, the front of my house looks sort of like Lori's, but it's steeper. Could I put a wheelchair glide on my front steps? You know, like, even though you can type in and answer that question, because this is going to be turned into a podcast and some people are going to be on the phone listening to it, I'll read that question to you and then you guys can comment on it. And that way everybody can hear it.
Okay, great.
And then the other thing is, like, you'll see people in the audience, they can raise their virtual hand. You'll see their hand pop up, and then I can unmute their mic and they can ask a question that way too.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Life in the big city.
Unmute, Catherine. There you go.
Hi. Question. Okay, so I'm not a real Zoomer. So if I won't be a panelist, but Greg will. And if he wants to share a photo that we just talked about, a sample of what we would do or a sample of a job we've done, do we do that like ahead of time we give to you, or we do it live?
You can do it either way. Okay. So, and great question, Catherine. So if you guys would like if you would like me to do it, so like, let's say that you and Greg don't feel super confident in terms of sharing your screen, then I would recommend send me the photo. I'll put it on a PowerPoint slide. And then, for example, what you would do is, like, let's say that Greg starts talking and he's going to be like, hey, Steve, I sent a picture of an entryway. Can you share that? And then I'll throw it up on the screen. And what he'll say is that this is a job that we just did that I thought is somewhat comparable to Lori's front yard. And you can see how the front steps now go from left to right or whatever.
Okay.
And then I'll drop it down like that. But then if you feel comfortable, and that's one of the main reasons that we do the green room, is so when we meet in the green room, if you've got slides that you want to share, that's the point where we'll be like, hey, Greg, if you want to just make sure you can share your slides, okay, then boom, he does it.
Okay, great. Another question regarding if a customer of Kensington Village has questions about pricing. How do we want to handle that, guys?
This is a good discussion, and I want us to have this discussion. Every single webinar I've been doing lately, pricing always comes up. Okay. So I like the fact that we're discussing this in advance, because I think as a group and with 4 different companies involved here, coming up with the consensus on how we answer questions about pricing is not a bad idea. Any thoughts?
There's no consensus.
Well, no. Like what my thought would be, I think that, so let's say, well, go ahead, Greg, you have a thought.
So left brain and right brain going on here. I don't think we go over to the nitty gritty side of it. This is a creative session. It's about giving people ideas, understanding what goes, what might be done in their home, similar homes, but I wouldn't fall into that trap.
Okay.
Yeah.
My,
I agree. I think we shouldn't discuss any pricing. If they want a range of the price,
yeah,
sure.
of course.
We can say this is the range of the price. We need to take a look because every house is different. Options are different. So we can give them a range. So if you want to do something that, similar to Lori's home, the range of the price is from 5,000 to 7,000, for example, whatever the range is. I think we shouldn't talk very specific about a price and I agree with Greg. So
And
either we shouldn't get involved or just give a ballpark of the range, like a wide
Yeah.
range.
Well, even that, we have no idea what their home looks like.
yeah,
We all know that. I mean, that's
Well,
just
like,
that's a
let me
rabbit
ask,
hole.
let me ask you something, like, I think things like, the entryway and stuff like that, I could see somebody saying, I need a few grab bars installed. What is that looking like? What am I gonna be looking like on that cost? Like, are there certain things that you guys are in alignment with where it's sort of like, hey, well, but then again, see, that's where, if there's, I guess if there's no blocking and stuff like that, that could be a rather expensive job, right?
Yeah,
And
there-
also every company charges different. I may charge
Yeah.
different than what Steve or Greg charges.
Okay.
So
So,
I think it's better to not get to that discussion, and then we can offer them, hey, you can contact us, and we're more than
Okay.
happy to give you
I like
either
that.
of the companies you want.
It's all the
Contact
you know
us.
what?
things.
What-
the
I think that's
accessibility,
something-
as Tammy would say, what the level of accessibility is. People think, I get in and they go, well, I want one grab bar and back. I said, no, this is body mechanics. This is how it works. That would have you leaning in. We don't lean.
yeah,
So,
I
I mean,
can tell you, I
those
wouldn't,
are
I
all-
wouldn't go in a bathtub with a hoist, okay? Never mind a grab bar, because if I fall down, they're gonna need a backhoe to get my big ass up, okay? So, no threshold, easy.
So,
and
you know-
easy.
this is good, actually. So one of my opening statements before we get into the discussion is going to be like, look, guys, we could spend the whole hour on pricing. Today is about talking about creative solutions. And the beauty is you've got 4 different companies here that you can get detailed pricing on
And
with
accurate.
the conversation.
So it goes back, if I could, to the old axiom, you know what you know. You maybe know what you don't know. What you don't know is what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do for people, is show them some things they don't have a clue of, perhaps. And what does it look
Well,
like? So,
Also, what I like about keeping pricing off the table is that turns this into an opportunity for the audience to engage with you guys. It's sort of like, and as we know, we could scare people away from these improvements by just mentioning a price that's beyond their threshold. And it's
Well,
also
You'll see
worthwhile.
a picture price that's too low, and they'll try and hold you to it, and you'll find yourself giving them platinum for the price of tinfoil. Because they'll say, but you said, well, but that's not what I meant, but that's what they heard.
but even more so, we'll be allowing them to focus on one narrow solution
Yeah.
that they think is appropriate for them, right? And we all know that's not appropriate because we haven't even seen their house. So let's not let them take themselves down the rabbit hole. Let's just keep it fun, creative, lots of different types of options, and just give people a warm, fuzzy feel that it is possible to age in my home.
Yeah. I
Short
think that-
term or long term.
Yeah,
That's what we want to accomplish.
Right. This is a summary sort of session on what can be done, what you might do, what you want to think about, and sort of get people activated about what they might do about their own home. We're really trying to give people more questions than answers. Like, what
Mhm.
about my house? Oh, what about, I didn't think about that before.
Mhm.
Right, good.
And then also as far as pricing, I think the best we can tell them, hey, whatever you spend on your home modification, either as a grab bar or as a full home modification, it's gonna be cost you less than you fall or you go to a long-term facility. So
Mhm.
that's what you need to focus on. But each project, each type, each house, they're different kind of pricing. So we, each of us more than happy to make an appointment, come in, discuss with you all your options and give you accurate and to the details price.
Right.
Molly, I gotta give you one line that I throw out with people. I'm like, all the modifications we might consider are still cheaper than the realtor fee. If you would sell
Yes.
your house.
Absolutely it is. Thank
That's why
you.
the
Thank you for
realtors are
adding that.
buying third homes and vacation homes.
Absolutely right. I never thought about it. Thank you for adding that. But
Feel free
yeah.
to use it.
This new
I
place they're building over on Metropolitan, what I was reading about it, I think it's gonna be, in the neighborhood of $9,000 a month to live there. So let's see, you got your $9,000 a month on the
That's
one
low
hand,
end now too,
and your
Jamie.
$18,000 today on the other.
12.
$9,000 a month?
Well,
Is
it's
that's
very expensive.
You're talking about just an apartment?
That's
I'm
no
talking about
senior
the
living.
Facilities that they give you some care and food.
They give you food too. I mean,
Oh, that's nice. But that's not
really,
assisted living?
There's hot dogs and potato chips.
Those are just apartments though, and dining. Is that it?
Maybe one meal.
I-
Okay.
I had a client that he told me that he checked one of these houses that you kind of purchase it and you live there and they take care of you.
Mhm.
They asked for $900,000
Yeah.
to upfront,
Mhm.
and they will keep that $900,000. And then when you leave the apartment or you die, they will give you 10% less, and they charge you $6,000 per person per month. So you do the math.
My
So
parents live
you-
at Collington in
Right.
PG
Well,
County,
but-
and they bought into that, but they still pay each of them $6,000 a month to
Right,
live.
but those are continuing care retirement communities. That's
Right.
that's a completely different model.
I know what it is.
Right, but an apartment for $6,000?
Well,
It is.
it's
If you go to
luxury
the
senior living.
Sunrise Valley, the Sunrise, which is in Bethesda, and they have one in DC.
Yeah,
They charge about, I think, $8,000 or $9,000 a month. Just that you have to buy the apartment. They just charge you as a fee every month to you be there, and they make some activities for you, and then they have food as well. If you hire a chef at your home, you're going to be less than that.
yeah. It's-
Anyway, but let's put the pricing out of the
I think in this
discussion.
case, Steve, I think we need to keep money out of the picture.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm
My own-
gonna, right
From
from
my
the
own
get-go,
perspective,
that's
I
gonna
would like
be,
money not to come, not to be
give
part of the discussion.
everybody's contact information in a PowerPoint.
yep,
And so, and private message me, and if you would like to talk about specifics of your home or your budget,
yep, no, absolutely.
Right.
and just
Okay.
give everybody contact information and let them pick and choose, and they'll call everybody and negotiate the best deal they can get, and then
Right.
they're on their own. We've given them. the
Well, because I
resources.
think, everybody's house is different, as you've each mentioned, and
Mhm.
all of the considerations are different.
Yeah.
And so consequently, the price tags would all be different. And so there's no sense in giving price tags because they wouldn't be accurate.
Yep,
Yeah, I agree.
no, we're good to go.
Good.
All right, guys. Well, we're more than prepared. I'll send a follow-up. This is gonna be absolutely awesome.
Fun.
Can't wait till this time next week. We're gonna love it. And then we'll schedule a recap and we'll figure out where to go next.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I can't
Thank
wait to see Steve have to dance through this whole thing. So,
Oh, I'm used to it. Thanks a lot, guys.
all right.
Okay,
Thank you, Lori, for
Thanks,
being
guys.
here, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys next week.